If you're overweight and you're concerned about it, try getting a little more sleep. We've talked about how sleep deprivation can actually cause our appetite to increase because of insulin and leptin resistance. But now a new study from UC Berkeley shows that it also affects our brains. So we're going to talk about lack of sleep affecting the reward centers in our brains, causing us to crave junk foods over healthy foods.
It's amazing how complicated this gets. We used to think that people just overate because they were eating too much because they like food. And it's not like that at all, except in some people. I'd say the bulk of the time there are things that are wrong with people, Vicki, that have to do with their thyroids or their adrenals, or has to do with some emotional factors sometimes in life, and to insulin and leptin resistance, as you mentioned. But it's also related to, surprisingly, how our brain functions.
So when we don't get enough sleep, it impairs our brains.
Right. So a study was done at the University of California in Berkeley, as you mentioned, that was published in the journal called Nature Communications in July of 2013. And basically what they did is they did functional MRIs on 23 healthy adults that had these problems with sleep or not problems with sleep. So they divided them, but they actually didn't divide them into groups. They did all 23 people with a functional MRI after they had a bad night's sleep, and then they did the same functional MRI when they didn't. And the difference was amazing because they found that those MRIs showed which areas of the brain were active and which ones were kind of sleepy.
So when you're kicking yourself, and getting upset with yourself for eating the wrong food, you might want to look at how much sleep you're getting.
Oh, for sure.
Because this really does make a difference. There's a specific brain mechanism involved here.
Right.
And the other thing is that many times when people don't get enough sleep, they end up resorting to taking a sleeping pill. And many of the sleeping pills have a side effect of sleepwalking, and then people don't remember what they did in their sleep, and sometimes what they're doing is they're eating.
Yeah.
So it's better to find natural ways. And actually on drzaputo.com, we have a section, if you put it in the search box it's about insomnia or lack of sleep. We have a ton of tips on how to help you to sleep naturally.
We have an assessment for insomnia. So if you click on assessments, insomnia will be one of them. And it's free, by the way. The whole site's free. You can take a 3 or 4 minute survey that will give us ideas of what you need to know, and what will instantly come back are videos and audios that will explain what we think you need to know to solve your problem. Now, this study, again, was one that showed us that the frontal lobes of the brain were put to sleep by people who didn't get enough sleep. And that's the center of the brain that tends to be involved with complex decisions that we make, like what foods are healthy for us and which ones aren't. And so we lost our discrimination between junk food and foods that are high in calories and foods that are whole foods that are healthy. And the other thing we found is that the deeper centers of the brain were turned on, and those are the ones that have to do with pleasure centers. And so they were souped up while the thinking centers were souped down.
There's so many reasons why people have weight problems. Everything from anorexia and bulimia that are psychological reasons, and from having problems to having hormonal imbalances and
right. So a nice tip, if you're not getting enough sleep, you want more sleep anyway. You want to try and find out what the cause is.
We're all on the fast track, and a lot of times that's the first thing to go, is that we don't take our sleep seriously enough.
Right. So America's sleep deprived. It's no wonder that it adds to the epidemic of obesity. So pay attention to that and have a look at the assessment on drzaputo.com, and maybe you'll learn something that'll help you to lose weight by just doing some simple fixes.
Sweet dreams.